Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Sam the SLB, and alongside me today is the man behind the Twitter, Wrestling's Voice of Reason, Scott. As well as we have fellow podcasters, probably, I think, when we talk about the internet wrestling community podcast world, there's no other podcast I think that's more important and more fun to engage with than our boys from Know the Ropes, J-Bo, Cinco, and Big Harv. How are we doing today, guys?
Thank you, Sam, SLB. Thank you, appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here. It's an honor. It's been a long time coming, but we are glad to be here. But I'm feeling great, though. Feeling good. In my robe, got a fake binder on right now. Got my red Solo cups with my water to hydrate for the morning after a long night, so I'm feeling pretty good.
You got that Montez Ford special over there?
Yeah, you see it. That's why I got the red Solo cups just for you.
That man gonna crash 30 minutes after we get off the air.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna hear from him for the next 24 hours. I promise.
I've been up since 6:30 Eastern with just nothing but excitement for this, because when I was on you guys' podcast, I had so much fun. So we get this all set up. I'm like, all right. I just woke up and I'm like, all right, let's get this going, get all this stuff ready, and we're gonna just this could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, man.
It is.
By the time you're waking up, that was probably the time I was about to take a nap. So yeah, to get prepared.
So before we start off, guys, please make sure you like, share, subscribe our podcast. Don't forget to follow Know the Ropes. They're on everything, as well as we are wherever Above the Ring is. Know the Ropes is at. Quickly want to go through the next 2 weeks. This will be dropping on July 10th. The 15th, we have Triple H Triple Mania 31 over in Tijuana, Mexico. Impact Slammiversary in Ontario, Canada. On the 19th at the Boston Garden, we got Blood and Guts AEW. On the 21st, we have Ring of Honor's Death Before Dishonor in Trenton, New Jersey. And end of the month, Great American Bash in Cedar Park, Texas for NXT. I know shortly after that, we got SummerSlam. We were just talking. Somebody on the show definitely already has tickets. So hoping you enjoy yourself over there, Cinco.
Boom. Can't wait. Never been to Detroit either, so I'm looking forward to see how that is too as well.
Nice. You have to let us know how Detroit is as well as the show.
Yeah.
Here's how both are.
It's gonna be a short weekend trip, Friday, Sunday. Get out the way.
Nice.
All right, so we had a couple things on the docket. First thing, there was an article that came up, and I, Scott and I, obviously we do news break, we kind of talk about this stuff, but we wanted to also get your feedback on this, which I thought would be an interesting talking point. So I have this What Culture article pulled about Jim Ross's AEW contract expiring soon. According to Fightful from our good old Sean Ross Sapp, it says, I will be back. I will continue working. My contract with AEW is still in place. I don't have a lot of time left on it, but I got enough. I'm not concerned about that. Either I'm retained or not. I'm just going to take a day at a time and see how it works, but I enjoy working for AEW, part of the startup. So, longer quote here, but I don't know. What do you guys see? Do you see JR being kept on the roster here? Do you see him going to WWE, maybe get a Legends contract again? I mean, he says this, but things change all the time. So I wanted to kind of get everyone's opinion on this.
I'll go ahead, Big Harv.
You got it. All right. I mean, we all know JR is pretty much, as far as wrestling goes, royalty. He's an institution. Mm-hmm. He is a voice that we grew up with, and he is nostalgia. And we know how powerful nostalgia is. I said about a year ago, I think it's time for Jim Ross to hang up full-time commentary. Mm-hmm. He's very dated. He's not really made for 2023. He's made for the 80s, 90s, maybe even early 2000s. He's still very entertaining, but some of the things he says is pretty grating. It's just kind of cringy. He's not up to date. You know what I mean? Like with verbiage and certain things he says, it just doesn't, it's out of place, and it kind of takes you out of the show sometimes if you're more focused on whatever he just said. So
right.
Love Jim Ross. I feel like anywhere he goes, he will be an asset, but it shouldn't be full-time commentary.
My sentiments with Harv is pretty much the same. You know, if you listen to a lot of commentary, especially on AEW, you can kind of hear in JR's voice where it's like he's not as into it as he used to be. He's not as, I don't know, energetic, or he's not as thrilled in it as he used to be. Not saying that he, doesn't care about it anymore. It's just you can kind of tell over the years it's been diminishing. In fact, I actually had the pleasure of playing AEW Fight Forever. And of course, they recorded his voice for the career mode. And I don't know if anyone picked up on it, but you can hear his voice. There's just no excitement. You can just tell he just read off the prompter and just said, all right, here you go. Here's your product. But if you played any of the previous SmackDown versus Raw games, or almost any game where Jim Ross is involved in, you hear the excitement. You hear the big, you hear everything in both JR and Jerry the King Lawler's voice when they're together. Like it's a completely different feel. So yes, I do feel that at this point, I do see Jim Ross at least going out the door. I like Big Hart's idea of, Legends contract to where, just a few appearances, some of the more bigger appearances. Jerry the King Lawler did that for a little bit, where he would just show up some of the pay-per-views or PLE events. So I can definitely see that for Jim Ross. Whether that be for AEW or WWE, it'll be fine either way. He's a legend. Everyone respects him. He's going to go down in history as one of the greatest. But yeah, it's definitely time to slow down just a little bit.
What do you got, Cinco?
With that, this would be usually the point where I argue against my co-host and say the opposite.
When you try to argue,
when I try to argue,
you're ever
just to instigate the
argument.
situation. But I don't have anything against it because it's hard to agree why he should be full-time, but like I said, he should go more so on a part-time role, like co-host J-Bo said, with just making special appearances for certain pay-per-view shows or PLE shows for like one certain match, so you can he can give his all in that just one match and not exert so much energy throughout the whole show. Because I can see how he gets tired with the AEW show. It's long. Sometimes he's long-winded. The pay-per-view shows are like 4 to 5 hours, and so if he's on that show, he's gonna fall asleep. We've seen it happen a couple times where he fell asleep during the show in between commentary on commentary. So it gets to him. So it just depends on okay, once the contract expires, just kick your feet up. Go to a nice little beach. Enjoy yourself. Wait for that phone call to come through because it's gonna come.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Come to that show. Give it your all. Say your slobber knocking trademark for this one match and call it a day. That's it. And collect the check and go because you're gonna get paid. You're gonna get paid.
Yep. Yeah, I have nothing new to add. All three gentlemen said exactly what it should happen. I mean, yeah, JR he's iconic, but like Big Harv said, he is a little outdated. But yeah, the specialty ones that they bring him in for, just have him give it his just can't speak today. Have him give
It's early.
give it his all, and it'll be great. He'll collect his paycheck and then go to the beach, have your little drink with your little umbrella, and just kick back and have some fun.
Well, it's funny because I think commentary with Jerry, as everyone does, but the other thing that comes to mind is, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe he was also head of talent relations at one point for WWE.
Yes.
Do you think? I mean, I agree with everything I think everyone's saying. I think he's getting older. I think he sounds exhausted. It doesn't even sound. Retire. You can bring him in 1 or 2 matches. But what about as as a talent coordinator, somebody who can help with talent relations or help choose and develop talent? I know a lot of people may think of maybe Jim Cornette, who's out. He's been around forever. He's people I don't know what this guy's smoking, but a lot of people don't agree with Cornette. But then I also look at the Dusty side of things, where Dusty was from an older generation, but everyone the guy was a mastermind even up until he died. Yeah. So what about as somebody in the talent department, you think?
Jim Ross has the knowledge, even at his age. He definitely does have the knowledge and experience to be that. The question is that something that he still wants to do? We see him, like we just talking about, in his position as a commentator, where I don't know the man's personal life, but you can kind of hear his voice. He's, at a burnout stage, where it's like this is the new generation of wrestling. Hard pointed out where his type of commentary is for a lot of the older generation. This could be an example of him being burned out even with the newer generation.
Yeah.
And then for him to try to look and scout for talent for the newer generation, not saying he can't do that, but is he willing to at this point in his career? And so I think it all just depend on, if that's something he's willing to do. Could he do it? Sure. He's scouted numerous great talent throughout his career, but is that something he wants to do?
Yeah, the weird thing about wrestling is that talent scouting doesn't really change, in my opinion. You still look for the same qualities in a good professional wrestler as you did really since the early 90s. You need somebody with some charisma and somebody that can actually work. And Jim Ross knows what that looks like. It's not something that he's unfamiliar with. But like J-Bo said, he has to be willing. If he's tired, if he's really tired now, doing commentary, he's probably a little burned out on wrestling. He probably just needs either to do part-time legend work or to take a long break or just retire, honestly. I mean, for me, it's about the passion. Once the passion is gone, you really just, move on to something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is the part where I disagree.
Show your work.
Oh, just got teleported back to like middle school math class. Show your work.
Show your work.
So with that, like I said, we can't argue and disagree that JR doesn't know his work. He's been a pillar of the wrestling industry for a long time, and he knows what he's talking about, know what he's doing. But at the same time, what you said before, my brother, Big Hard, he's not really updated with the new trends now. I know it's a different age in wrestling today. It's a different lifestyle. It's a different type of work. It's what the companies now are holding on. They're doing their best to hold on to the main mold of what wrestling was back in the day. But we can see now how it's really changed. The game is changing. Like it's the
What's
game changed. You say what?
What's changing?
Wrestling styles. Well, if I'm just talking about from the dirty product, yes, AEW, it's a little bit different. I'll say that. So let me say that, for instance. So if it's AEW, yes, he can be there. Yes, so it makes sense for the talent coordination in position like that because they still hold that firmly over there. But I'm thinking about all around wrestling, pretty much, or just like the main stream of wrestling product with no World Wrestling Entertainment, then that's where I say no. But if he's with AEW, I'll say yes because they have a different product and a different line with their brand and what they're going on with.
Well, what has changed in WWE?
I have spoken, Big Hard.
Exactly. So I want you to speak some more, my brother. That's what I want.
What you want me to say?
What has changed in WWE so much that Jim Ross couldn't go over there and be
I just said
some sort of talent?
Not like, well, obviously when it comes to like the talent and the product, that hasn't changed because of who all are in the higher ups. But I'm talking with the talent, with the wrestlers, the style of wrestling, and like the way. It depends.
He wouldn't have anything to do with the style of wrestling. He would be a scout. He'd be somebody that brought them in. That's what NXT's for. That's what Shawn Michaels and his team is for.
Shawn Michaels different though. He built different.
What I'm saying is, it wouldn't be Jim Ross's job to do Shawn Michaels' job. So why couldn't Jim Ross do that?
Okay, so what we're speaking on, will be JR's job then? Let's get that base down real quick.
Talent scout.
Talent scout.
What have you done in the past? Talent scout, talent acquisition, giving out the contracts, make sure everybody happy, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think he'll mess up some paperwork.
No,
I don't want to hold up y'all. So what's next? This guy.
I'm sorry. I do this all the time.
This is why I was so excited for this because my God, so good.
Hold on. I'll kind of piggyback back off Cinco, but I'm gonna kind of put it in reverse a little bit. Where
be the mediator for us.
If he would be a talent scout for the WWE, I think he will probably be more successful in that regard than he would with AEW talent because the AEW style is different from the type of talent that Jim Ross has scouted over the years. AEW is a more in-ring wrestler, very little promo skill. Doesn't mean it's bad promo skill, but just they focus more on the in-ring, the 300 matches per show. Like that's what they focus more on. While in the WWE, yeah, they look at the wrestling aspect, but they also look at the charisma, they look at the promo work, they look at the storytelling, they look at a little bit more on the outer realm. And since Jim Ross have been scouting that over the years, I feel that if he were to go into the scouting realm, he'll be more successful, or lack of better terms, work better with other producers, scouting, talent, whatever in the WWE with the WWE than he would with AEW. So same kind of what Cinco said, but in reverse.
So whose side you taking, me or Big Hall?
Neither one, because mine's different.
Man stands alone.
I will say, going off of both of your opinions here, I mean, again, this argument, or the article I initially read, he's like, yeah, I love doing AEW. It's a lot of fun, this and that, for the commentary. When it comes to the talent stuff, I think he's more garnered. This is going to be a tough one. Might be a little more garnered towards WWE, because even he said, you guys do that flippy shit way too much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess it could go both ways,
Yeah.
Jim Ross understands entertainment, and we all know which one of those two leans towards the entertainment side. So
there you go. Plain and simple.
Right. That's good. I like a lot of that take. I like a lot of that. I'm gonna hand this over to Scott, but I know one of the things we do want to talk about, which I thought would be a very engaging topic between both groups here, is the well, Scott, I'll let you lead into it. This whole Roman and Jey Uso.
Oh yes. Well, the Bloodline, the whole storyline has been probably the best thing that has come out of WWE in probably at least a decade at this point. It's had its ups and downs, but it's been a whole lot more up than down. And this latest chapter has just been like, I need popcorn every time I watch SmackDown now. It's just like this. So with Jey essentially challenging Roman, we don't know when. I'm hoping it's going to be SummerSlam, because I need to hear how this goes for Cinco.
I hope so too. How much money I pay for that ticket?
But I mean, the whole drama, it was literally cinema, just watching the whole trial of the tribal chief on SmackDown, and Roman getting on his knees, taking off the leg. And I'm just like, is this actually going to happen? Like, what is going on? And then the low blow, taking out Jimmy, sending him to the hospital, and then Jey coming back at the end of the show. Yep. Like, just sign me up. Like, I just need this to continue forever. So, like, what do you guys think? Like, do you see Jey being the one, or does Roman retain and continue on leading to WrestleMania?
This is perfect. I'm glad we held off on not talking about this topic on our last show, so we can talk about it now. Go ahead, J-Bo.
I'm right in on this, because first off, this will be the 3-year anniversary of when Jey Uso fought against Roman Reigns, which I think that is a beautiful setup.
Yes.
However, on one of our episodes, it was either right before WrestleMania or like 2 episodes right before WrestleMania, I stated that if they really want the storyline to really make sense, Jey Uso has to be the one to go up against Roman Reigns and take that belt. It seemed far-fetched, and even at the time for me, it seemed a bit far-fetched too, but if we're talking about storyline of the Bloodline and how they were going, that's the only one that'll make sense. Cody Rhodes finishing the story, that can still happen, but long term, we can see that. Now, we can have this conversation about, well, where would it take Jey Uso? Or could he really hold on to the championship and be a defending champion like Roman Reigns? That's a different story. However, as far as how the Bloodline started, how it progressed, how it developed, how it evolved, how it became to what cinema masterpiece it came into at this point, Jey Uso has to be the one to put on a 5-star match with Roman Reigns and take that belt. Will Jey Uso have it for a long time? Will he be dominant as Roman Reigns? I don't know. At this point, we can look at that later. Roman Reigns, in order for it to fully finish out, in my opinion, Jey Uso has to be the one to dethrone him once he does eventually go for that belt. That's me.
It is the best way to end the story. But I feel like it's another Cody Rhodes. I think it's actually a better situation. It's less of a corner than the Cody Rhodes situation because if Jay loses, it's not really that bad on Jay. The fact that he got to the dance is good enough.
Right.
I hope that they conclude the story this way. I'm never against Rome. I won't say never, but right now, as far as it's been going right now, Rome winning wouldn't hurt anything because, like you said, they got Cody Rhodes to fall back on, even though I feel like that's completely blown out, ruined, and pointless at this point. So I'm going to say that I hope Jay takes the title and that they end the story properly, but it's WWE.
And Vince is back in creative, so
Vince is back. Yeah, I mean, who looks better at the top of the company while it's linked with UFC and whatever the name of the new company, and who knows what they're trying to do. And there's so much going on behind the scenes because of this merger. We don't really know. Roman Reigns is just so consistent. So I don't know. I hope that it concludes the right way and they give it to Jay, but I don't know.
If Roman Reigns wins, though, what else is there for him to do? Big Hard brought up the fact with, hey, there's still Cody. Cody Rhodes is probably like the only other main star, not to knock Seth Rollins, because he already got a, supplementary title. But Cody Rhodes, he's like the only other wrestler who's up there, but because of his loss at WrestleMania, as Big Hard mentioned, it just diminishes it. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, Roman Reigns, he goes in, he dominates Jey Uso. I can't see no other scenario with him losing, but even if it's a triple threat, even if it's a Money Bank cash-in, just nothing else would seem complete if Roman Reigns beat Jey Usos and keeps the belt. None else would.
I agree. It's just WWE.
So
we've seen it before.
So I do have a point here because Scott and we've actually talked about this. And I don't know if it was the podcast. I don't know if it was the live stream. So if you go back to Mania, Roman Reigns won because Solo got kicked out and then came back in. All right.
Yes.
So, and again, I don't watch WWE aside from like the big five at this point, but this storyline, there's so much that I see online. I kind of can grasp what's going on here. If Jey Uso, there are only two scenarios that Roman Reigns has to lose this title. Jey Uso at SummerSlam, Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. Do they go with option B? If they go with option B, Scott and I discussed you would prolong the Solo Sikoa, he and him, whether they wrestle at the Rumble or Survivor Series. And then maybe at some point, he loses Heyman down the road, whether it be Brock or somebody else. So when he one way or another, him and Cody wrestle at Mania, now he has nobody. It's just Roman. So he loses because he doesn't have his family. Because as Vin Diesel said, nothing beats family.
How long have you been waiting to bring that up?
Use that punchline.
I'm more surprised there's not a meme that have classed both of them together and like made some weird creature out of the two.
So if they went down that route, could they make it work? Yes, because if we think back to before WrestleMania, there was an in-ring promo with Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns where Cody pointed out that, hey, Jimmy's going to turn on you. Then Jay's going to turn on you. Then there's going to be no one left. And so, yes, I can see a build leading up to WrestleMania where, as you mentioned, Sam, where Roman has nobody else. There's a promo in the ring where Cody Rhodes says, I told you, and now you are vulnerable, and I'm going to get what is rightfully belongs to my father. I'm going to finish the story. Can I see that? Yes. It's just, I don't know, maybe this is my own personal opinion. I just felt it was better for just Cody to just go ahead and end it. It's good for cinema at this point because the Bloodline storyline has been terrific. Even after WrestleMania, I don't know. I just felt the one and done should have been it for me.
Go ahead.
I was also on that train. I was also like, they're going to end it here. And Scott, I talked to Scott my gripes about that, the way that match ended. If you haven't listened to it, mostly it was because Solo got kicked out. And then Solo comes back. And instead of like doing I'm going to go out and kind of come back, I'm just going to hop up on the ring once 3 gets counted. It's like very little details like that. But I was on the same route, and unfortunately, we're not there. So to make this work, it's got to be. If he loses it to Jay, cool. If he loses to Cody, cool. He can't be losing it. I don't know. Anybody else?
Right.
Yeah.
Can't be.
Like he can have feuds with Jimmy. He can have feuds with Jay. He can have a feud with Solo. That's how you can progress it all the way to Mania. What I wish they would do, because you guys talked about Cody kind of feeling like it was a wasted opportunity. They started to dive into this whole hard times thing when he kept losing. And I really wish that they kind of kept doing that, even though I know he won at Money in the Bank against Dominic. Part of me feels that I wish he would have lost, have somebody screw him over. That way the hard times can continue. So you can see him at his worst and then slowly build him back up. For him to face Roman, obviously him being on a different brand, if you follow it the way it's supposed to be, he'd have to win the Rumble again, back to back, to challenge Roman at WrestleMania. I don't know how they're going to pull that off if he doesn't drop it, Jay. But I personally, I want to see him hold on to it, because I've also been shouting that from the rooftops for the past, like, I don't know, year and a half now, Sam. So I want to see him drop it at Mania, just to complete the story, for lack of a better term.
That's not a bad idea, actually. My co-hosts know that I'll never forgive Cody Rhodes at this point. So yeah, let everybody beat him. Let everybody take their pound of flesh, leave him battered and bruised, and then sure, go ahead and have him complete the story. Because at this point, to me, it's not as impactful. It doesn't matter. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. I'm lost as far as Cody Rhodes goes. As far as stretching it out, I don't know if Solo, and this is not to knock them, Solo and Jimmy are as important as Jay.
Right.
Even to the crowd. So, having pay-per-view or what are PLE matches against them, it would help to fill the story as they continue toward WrestleMania, but it wouldn't be enough, in my opinion, because nobody really thinks that they're going to do anything with Roman Reigns. Only other person I could actually see is Drew. Again, we just spoke on our show about how they didn't present him coming back the right way. They gave him a great opponent, and the Intercontinental title is very important at this point. But Drew should be treated as a bigger deal, and I still feel like he is a good opponent for Roman Reigns. But we don't really have any good options at this point. He either needs to lose it to Jay, or it's just going to be boring until he loses it to Cody.
Right.
And Scott, just real quickly, to your point about Cody Rhodes going through like a hard times type of scenario, in my personal opinion, if you have enough fireworks to replace a 4th of July show, the last thing you should be doing is losing regularly and going through hard times.
Well, I mean, they could kind of go. I don't know if you guys watched like WCW back in the day, but the DDP route, like DDP went through hard times. Like he had everything back in the day, and then this man smoking the same cigar for like 6 months in a row, trying to pull it out, and then all of a sudden just comes back to glory. Like I don't know. You're right though. This man has.
They would have to lose that pyro if they went that route, boy.
Right? Oh my god, that'd be great. Yeah,
they'd have to change the theme song too.
No more adrenaline in the soul.
Proud too hype for
it. No.
They can give him his that ugly persona he had with the clear mask.
Yes, yes,
they can bring,
yes.
They can
Honestly,
bring
though,
that back.
That
That's
theme,
one of my favorite Cody Rhodes characters.
Yes, that theme. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, that theme was crazy. They slowed it down. It was raw.
Yeah, they brought a little 8-bit to it too. Yeah, it was fantastic.
All right, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure, but I do have a 9 to 5. That's where I got to head.
Hey, Garv, thank you so much for showing. Appreciate you.
I will catch y'all next time. Pump them numbers.
Yes, sir.
Both sides. Both sides.
Oh man.
I mean, you could go the Vince route. If Vince was to book this, he'd probably have Cody as Stardust and win the belt at Mania.
God.
Or at I don't know, at Great Balls of Fire too.
Oh yeah. Bring that pay-per-view back. That worked out so well.
That ever happened. Need to forget that ever happened.
Oh my God.
Great Balls of
It's funny. I remember when they announced that pay-per-view, and looking back, that was the worst name for a pay-per-view I think I've had ever seen. The show itself was actually really good.
It was.
And I'm like, okay, if this is the route he's gonna go, keep giving them bad names, so the shows can be good. Especially at that point, they were doing 2 pay-per-views a month.
Oh my God.
Yeah, let's see. Great Balls of Fire is probably the worst one out of them all that I could just think off the top of my head, besides WrestleMania Backlash. But that's just another story for another day.
Hey, Cinco, you'll like this fun fact. The Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view was actually the last pay-per-view your favorite Enzo Amore was featured on.
Yeah. I miss him.
That man had charisma like no other. I thought the man was gonna go to the stars.
I know. That's why I was so hurt that he got fired.
I'm trying as hard as I can not to make an Enzo. You can't teach that joke. I'm just gonna.
I'm gonna have to send them, Scott. This got a little off topic. There was that same year I was at a friend's birthday party, and we're at a brewery or a restaurant. I don't remember and they had cornhole inside. So I'm playing cornhole, and I'm getting one of the bean bags in the hole, and I did the Enzo thing, how you doing with the foot thing, and it's so bad. It looks so bad. It looks like one of those wind up toys that just kind of shakes.
I fell off my chair laughing. I wasn't there when it happened, but showed us the video, and oh my God. Oh my God.
Man.
So we're talking about this match. So Cinco, you're going to SummerSlam.
Yep.
What other matches are you hoping to be there that maybe haven't been announced or that haven't been hinted at? I don't know what the card looks like, if there is any currently.
What I am looking forward to see, and we talked about this actually on the last show, is more like it's going to get announced: Shayna Baszler versus Ronda Rousey. I'm looking forward to that match because I'm looking forward to Shayna Baszler finally getting put back on that pedestal she was on or going forward to back in 2020 before COVID happened, when she was the dominant woman in the women's division. And I feel like once they get her back to that level, because she should have been a champ, 3 years ago, I feel like that's actually another opportunity for a more believable character to be the next women's champion. So especially with somebody to go up against Rhea Ripley at the point in time, because somebody of that dominance can take her on, because they got Rhea looking pretty dominant right now. Right. So I feel like that'll be a good look for her. You take down the baddest woman alive and pin her 1, 2, 3. I feel like that's a good look. Or if you make her tap out, that's even better. So
right, yeah.
So that's a match I'm looking forward to see. And other than that, it's always a pleasure to see Brock Lesnar. So looking forward.
Brock and Cody 3.
Yes.
I'll also float out there Gunther and Drew McIntyre.
Absolutely.
That's gonna be a hard match.
That's gonna be amazing. A star that I wish was on SmackDown would be Gunther, because I believe he could be a legitimate challenger for Roman. But with if they actually do the brand split the way it's supposed to be, he's not going to see that. But I could see him and Seth down the road too. I mean, I love what they're doing with Gunther. He's easily going to topple Honky Tonk Man's record. And I think that's in September, I believe, is when he gets there. And it's just after that, whenever he finally loses that IC title, he needs to immediately be put in the heavyweight championship reign and just go.
Yeah.
I feel like you just made a good point right there. I'm sorry, because I was getting on top when we mentioned Seth Rollins, because I feel like with this, he's about to lose his title soon. Because he's about to start promoting the movie and everything that's doing with the cinema work, and it's going to be off for a period of time. And I feel like that may be a good leeway for him to come back, win the Rumble, and take on Roman Reigns, for the title at WrestleMania.
Okay.
Because with that, if we really think about it, Seth Rollins didn't necessarily lose to Roman Reigns when he wrestled him at the
That's
Royal
right.
Rumble.
It was
in
via
disqualification.
DQ, wasn't it?
Yes, because
Yeah.
Roman Reigns just kept beating him, and they just rang the bell. So yeah, we actually saw that live. So I remember this. That's how it came to my mind. So with that, I feel like that's a good leeway for Seth Rollins to get in that picture and to be the mainstay over on SmackDown. Since he already has his popularity, he'll be able to carry the show on his own, and they'll figure out something over on Raw, whether it's Damian Priest being champion or Finn Balor or somebody, whoever they feel like putting the World Heavyweight title on. But I feel like that's probably a good way to get a new WWE champion. If not, there's always option number 4, and that is Randy.
I was
Orton. Because he has been gone for TV for so long, he's gonna come back, win the Rumble, beat Reigns, and become the 15-time champion? Yes, the 15-time World Heavyweight Champion. He'll just be one more title away from John Cena's record and Ric Flair's record, then he'll beat it. I was gonna figure out a way to bring this up.
Of course you would. Of course. Because you and me had probably the best online feud during COVID, where it was Randy Orton versus the world.
Yeah.
My phone didn't blow up. So we both have the Twitter account. So we both get the Twitter feed. My phone doesn't blow up any more than the two of you going back and forth about Randy Orton to be like, boom, Randy Orton, boom, Randy, ding, ding, ding,
Just
ding.
wait for Monday night to come up. That's what.
Oh man.
I mean, he could get the Kofi treatment. You know, Brock Lesnar come out and just squash him and then end the storyline right there. Good old Vince booking.
Yeah.
He won Vincent Kennedy McMahon booking.
Or Mabel comes back and gets it. I don't know.
Oh.
Oh man. Yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, I watched you guys' last, I think it was 2 episodes ago when you talked about Randy, and yeah, it's unfortunate how, if this is the end for him, that I know. But just like ending it with Riddle, I mean, while it worked, I feel like it wasn't the way somebody of his caliber should go out.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I would love to see him come back and then get taken out by Bray Wyatt, but that's beside the point.
When I was the only person who thought he could beat him, and he beat him.
I put everything into that. Nope. Man.
No, Scott, I do agree, because I think we spoke on the show where the whole Riddle, Randy Orton thing, that's one of those things in the WWE that should not have worked, but it did.
Right.
And even though it did work for Matt Riddle, cool. But for Randy Orton, that should not have been his last stint. So, I'll give Cinco some type of hope. If there is any possibility, let him come back. Let him do something in relevance to what Randy Orton is known for, which is either his dominance, his winning streak, something. It does not have to be long. Just something where he comes back, solidify, his end of his career, and then walk to the sunset. But unfortunately, at this point, we really do not know.
Right.
Look, if Ric Flair can have his last match in 2023, Randy Orton can get another title.
The problem is Ric Flair shouldn't have had that last match.
Yeah, that was brutal to watch. I'm still.
Just wait till we get Ric Flair's last match too.
I can't believe we paid to
into.
watch that. We really paid money to watch that match.
Now, my defense, I paid because Jordan Grace was on the show, Jonathan Gresham was on the show, American Wolves, they reunited and got on the show. So I bought it for other reasons.
And you were on a work trip and you were bored.
That too, yes. But
full transparency here.
That Ric Flair, man, it was so hard to watch, have him take those bumps, and to him give on. It was just so hard to watch. That was easily his worst match ever. You can't find a worse match of Ric Flair than that one. That was his worst match. I will argue that to the moon. You just can't. Yeah.
That was fun because the whole time leading up, we said we're not going to pay for that show. We're not going to watch it the day of. Like, what are you doing? Watching the last match.
We had, I think, a couple of people online ask us, "Hey, you guys gonna be watching that tonight?" And Scott and I like, no.
Like, we like first like no, like maybe.
So Scott, I know you had some fantasy booking ideas. We were talking before the show. He goes like, we're gonna get them on here. Let's do some fantasy booking. Yeah. So what did you have in mind? I figured you had some specific ideas.
So I know that obviously Forbidden Door just happened, New Japan AEW stuff. So I wanted to kind of ask you guys if we had a Forbidden Door with like AEW versus WWE, like top 3 matches. Could be whatever, tags, can be singles, triples, triple threats, fatal 4-ways. My 3 that I had, obviously, you start with Roman, Kenny Omega. Just okay. I also had a fatal 4-way between Gunther, Drew, McIntyre, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Wardlow. And tag team, let's see, the Bucks versus the Usos versus the New Day in triple threat. So that would be my 3. What do you guys think?
I will second your Usos and Young Bucks. I would probably take out the New Day. I love the New Day. Don't get me wrong. They're arguably one of, if not the best faction in the WWE. But unfortunately, I'm looking at how things are today. And today, the New Day,
right?
I don't want to say that they ran their course, because they haven't. I'm pretty sure they have a lot more left to do. It's just that Usos and Bucks would probably be a whole lot higher on that tier. Okay. Definitely. I will also second the fatal 4-way. I have no problem with that one. With Roman Reigns, to be honest, I can't see anybody that would really measure up to him. You mentioned Kenny Omega. I would agree if this was 2021, 2022, where he held all those daggone belts from promotions. So if it was that Kenny Omega, yes, absolutely. I'm trying to see what other match I would look at. I would love to see an MJF and Seth Rollins match. Ooh. I would love to see the mic work between the two, and go from there. And let's see what other fantasy booking that I need to do something in the women's division. In the women's division, I would love to see Bianca Belair.
Don't say it. Don't say it. You about to take mine. I was about to say that one too. Go ahead, finish it.
I'm sorry, but I have to say Jade Cargill.
That was mine. That was mine.
That was the one that I was hoping. If Cinco didn't say it, I was just gonna nail him on it. Like, wait, that was my
first one. That's what I want to see.
Well, here, I'll let you take the rest, Cinco.
Yeah, so that was my first one. I'm gonna like sort of piggyback off you with MJF, but I want to see him in the Miz. Yeah. I want to see MJF versus the Miz, because that build up to that match with the promo work is going to be outstanding.
Just throw out the script and just let
them. No script. Yep. Let them just ad-lib it, freestyle the whole thing. It is going to be beautiful. Mm-hmm. I feel that's my number 2. Number 3, for entertainment purposes, I would say the Acclaim versus the New Day.
All right.
Yeah, Acclaim versus the New Day. Entertaining tag teams and also established tag teams going against each other. I feel like they'll put on a good match. I feel like because they fit each other's styles more better than the Usos, so that's why I picked the New Day in the Acclaim.
Yeah, I'm with it.
What were you
Last but not least?
Oh man, so I'm kind of like looking through the roster so I can kind of familiarize myself. I think we're all on board with this whole tag team idea. There's the Usos or the New Day, or hell, what about the Street Profits and the Young Bucks? Or if we had like the Street Profits and I don't know, Private Party when they were still together.
Oh, yeah. Real good.
That would have been fire.
They'll all be doing shots.
It's funny. I was kind of in agreement on the whole Roman thing. I think Roman and Kenny currently, I don't think would work.
Right.
I'm trying to figure out who would work with Roman.
That-
Kenny,
that-
I think, would be Seth Rollins. I think Kenny and Rollins would be good.
yes, okay.
Or-
I can
Or Rollins and Osprey, because they have Twitter beef too.
yeah. I think Osprey would still take out Rollins though. Current day Osprey, I think he would take out Rollins though.
I think the best option, and I know he's fresh in AEW, but I'm thinking New Japan. Jay White and Roman Reigns might work.
If you're talking New Japan, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's if we were talking that's a whole different monster. But if I had to go another booking, I would want to see everyone's favorite Orange Cassidy and maybe, I don't know, Butch get good old technically speaking. I'm thinking because I know Orange Cassidy gets the he's the slow guy, but when he can get some, get pretty technical, and you would need somebody who can kind of match that. And I feel like or Pete. I prefer Pete Dunne because that's really let's Pete Dunne and Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
Not
Man,
bad. It's not bad.
Hey, I would have to analyze the roster to see what's out there.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely, I thought it was a fun topic to bring up because there's so much that could possibly happen. I was really banking on the whole Bianca and Jade thing because I went back and was listening to you guys' podcast, and you guys were just all praise, and I'm like, well, it's all deserved. I said, so I think we'll see if somebody's gonna mention it. I'm glad they both did. So
I mean, you also could have Britt Baker and obviously Charlotte, or Britt Baker and Becky.
My only problem with Charlotte Flair is that I feel AEW hasn't been around as long as them, but
yeah,
I feel like they haven't built anybody up to a Charlotte Flair type status, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or be like an understandable fancy. But yeah, like Britt Baker is great, but Britt Baker, they haven't built her like a Charlotte, like how our other bookings, they kind of built them similar.
Yeah. Right. I think a substitute for Charlotte would be Bayley. It's a battle of the role models.
Yeah. I can see that one.
Ooh, okay.
So
we'll have to do this again, Scott. I'm looking through the roster. I don't know half the talent on the roster at the moment.
That's true. I mean, you're so busy watching New Japan stuff because you're doing the Rising Sun stuff with Ethan. So I get it. There's so much wrestling to watch, and Lord knows I don't know how Ethan watches everything, but God bless his soul. But going back to you guys over at KTR. I know you guys recently just celebrated your 3rd year.
Yes.
So wanted to shout out for that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Hopefully your 4th year is even better, and you guys are killing it. So love you guys and truly appreciate that. Cinco, I also want to give you a platform for a second, because I've seen this for a while, and I'm glad that we finally got to get together today.
Yeah.
Please speak on you living the dream for all of us. Please talk about your endeavors in the world of professional wrestling.
Yes. Thank you. Appreciate this, Scott. So if people haven't noticed yet, I have became a wrestling manager, surprisingly. I was asked to do it, so it caught me off guard. Now, I was actually told to do it, so it caught me off guard. It's been a little over a year now so far, and it has been a great journey. Mainly doing manager work with promotions within the St. Louis area of like the Glory Pro, and just a couple of promotions here and there that I work with, just for like a small stint with what was it, the promotion with the Grandale Wrestling, with Warrior Wrestling, St. Louis Anarchy, things, just those other promotions around. But like I said, mainly it's been working with my friend, my brother, Mike Outlaw, as his wrestling manager. And it's been a great experience just being in that element backstage with the wrestlers, learning about everything that they talk about, the match, the all the stuff that goes into the match, just learn that. And I just sit back and listen like, I don't know what you just said, but we're gonna go with it. And so with that, I also had the privilege of working with other wrestlers like in these matches. Like I worked with Homicide, worked with Calvin Tankman, I worked with Warhorse, and what other wrestler? I mean, Jake, do you know anything, or am I missing something? Good. It was other opportunities where it was other big names, but sadly the matches got pulled because of injury. It was a match where I was going to be working with Eddie Kingston. That would have been big. And yeah, he had an injury and the match got pulled. So
you also with Johnny multiple names.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I did a match with John Morrison, yes. With him. I also had the opportunity to do a match with Matt Seidel too as well.
Nice.
An assistant there. So like I said, great journey working with all these big names. It's really been a pleasure. And like I said, I'm thankful for opportunity that my friend Mike Outlaw gave me with this. And like I said, it's living a dream. I didn't see it coming. I didn't know it was coming at that either. It just happened. But like I said, I'm glad to be here. It's been roughly over a year so far. And like I said, I've learned a lot. Obviously, I made some mistakes along the way, but learn.
That's right. That's how we learn.
Yeah. So no, it's been great though. It's really been great. It's great being the bad guy too, because you just being booed 24/7 and just interacting with the crowd and just them talking mess, you just talking the same thing back to them. It's been great.
Do you have any videos online of that? I kind of want to see this.
Oh yes, yes. It's plenty. It's especially with Glory Pro, they put a few of their shows on YouTube after the recording. So like I said, I can send it over to you so you can see, the ring work. It's a couple shows that are on Fight TV. I'm not sure if you have there or not. So I know with other promotions I did, and also with Glory Pro, there's some stuff on there. So that's more so of like the bigger matches pretty much that we were involved with. So I know those are on Fight TV. But like I said, on Fight TV or on YouTube, like I said, I'll send you a link so you can see it.
Nice. Word. And we will link that in the description to this video when we get that. Scott, I don't know if I had anything. Did you have anything else? I
think we covered everything that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess we'll call it. We're gonna have to do this again. We're gonna have to get together. Glad we got to finally do this. I know Scott obviously is the one you talk to most, and every time when we post, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I always look forward to the KTR retweet and probably more than anyone else. Not to knock anybody, but I'm just
it's like you're the first on our list every time.
So I appreciate the this collaboration finally, and we definitely need to do more in the future.
Of course, it was a good time.
And if everybody's here, it goes to Mania, then we definitely need to meet up. I know that we couldn't do Double or Nothing because Ziggo told me about
horrible.
that
horrible
was the flight situation.
Plane situation ever. I kid you not. That was the worst. This all I gotta say. When you book flights, make sure you have a nonstop direct flight. Do not book a flight with a connection, because that's where everything went downhill for me. I was stuck in Texas for a whole day. And not even the popular city of Texas. It was like a Dallas or Houston. It was El Paso. So I'm really unfamiliar with the area. If I was in Houston or Dallas, I was like, okay, it's fine. Maybe San Antonio. But yeah, El Paso for 24 hours. I was like,
oh man.
I mean, at that point, you probably could have driven to Vegas.
Right.
I believe we actually talked about that, and I think that was almost a possibility.
Yeah, I was like, man, just give me a car, and I'm just gonna make this 7-hour drive.
Right?
Well,
Speaking of 7-hour drives, that is pretty much what it is from up here in Vermont to Philly. So I'm not flying, I'm driving.
well, I don't think anyone wants to drive into Philly for that. Even me, I've talked about, because obviously Scott and I were eyeballing Mania. I go, I'm going to fly into Rhode Island, or we talked about Albany.
Yeah.
Albany, flying to Albany. He'll pick me up and we'll drive straight into Philly. No way I'm flying right into Philly. No.
And see, with this, I was semi against. Well, I'm still semi against the WrestleMania in Philly, but more than likely I will be there. So I just hope the weather is good. That's just my thing about it. 'Cause I said Philadelphia in what, April? That's why I was like skeptical about. I was like, do I have to bring a poncho?
Yeah. What was it 35 they did in New York? And it was end of March, early April?
Yeah. But it wasn't terribly cold. Well, I say terribly cold. I think it was like in the 40s, but
yeah, not terribly. Absolutely.
No. For me, that's like perfect weather.
I know. Scott's
throw it
like
to the
gonna be.
t-shirt, I'm
He's gonna
fine.
have a Hawaiian shirt. He's gonna be in shorts. He'll be in his sandals. Have his beach towel. Hey guys, I'm ready to go.
Everybody else in 30 layers. What's wrong, guys? Come on.
Especially me after being down here for a year.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Sam is the Florida man now, so.
Well, we'll let you guys plug your stuff before we hop off here. So
That's all you, Cinco.
Oh, you're right. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for tuning in. And thank you to Above the Ring for allowing us to be on the show. It's been a pleasure. It's always a good time with our friends on the East Coast. But for now, y'all can catch us, No Roast Podcast, on all social media platforms. KTR_podcast, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. No Roast Podcast, Facebook, YouTube. No Roast Podcast, all podcast platforms. Got Google Podcasts, got Spotify, got Anchor, got Apple Podcasts, got Poppy on everything. And don't forget to get your merch at ProWrestlingTees.com/KTR Podcast. You see it on the shirt with Scott. Thank you.
I love you guys' show, but when Cinco just goes off like that, it's literally my favorite thing. I love it so much.
It's natural now. I don't have to think about it. It's just fall into it.
Right?
Oh, I feel that. I can feel that. And guys, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Above the Ring. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Above the Ring. You can find myself as the SOB Official, Scott is Scotty J String, John is John the Statman, and Ethan as Wrestling_fan_9. Ha! I got that one finally. We are on all stream platforms. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a review to tell people why Stupid Stews and Above the Ring is the podcast of your choosing and why they should listen to us as well. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to ship it. And as always, do not forget to join the Bedlam.